let's start actually with Ice Cream Headache.
Okay.
So, your film focuses a lot on autism, and actually for yourself, Anna, was there any challenges playing the character, and how did you approach it?
Great question. Just gonna move this
Yeah.
out a bit.
Feel free to adjust your microphones first, guys.
Yeah, when I first read the script, I was immediately I connected with it. Jessica has a lot of similarities to me, and I almost found that it was not easy, but just kind of felt very natural when I was reading it. And I guess my approach was there's like a subtlety with Jessica. I feel like it's all quite internal, and just the approach was quite soft. Is how I describe it, but it was very aligning with how I am as a person. So
No problem. Benjamin, tell us why this story was important to you and why you, in particular, wanted to make it.
I think I echo what you said before about what Martin Scorsese said. I always thought, if I'm going to get it wrong, as in, it's never going to be perfect or right, but I'm going to write about something I know and I lived. It went on an incredible journey to get here, actually. Sort of, I'd written a feature film of it, and then the BBC were going to option it as a one-off, and then there was a series of shorts from that potentially for BBC Three. We got tossed around anyway. It didn't happen, but I really wanted to do it, and I just wanted to make it. So we took a section of it. I then rewrote it as a short, and we got it made. But I always wanted to do something about autism. I had a late diagnosis, so things started to make sense, and I thought it's the right time to do it. So yeah, I just wanted to do it.
Definitely. I'll move along to you, Daniel, as well. We'll focus a lot more on Scotland as well, since you're both in Scotland. What do you think Scotland's film industry can do to support filmmakers who actually want to tell stories about the country's history, and especially that resonates in today's viewers?
I think a lot of the stuff that Scotland's already doing is going to... Sorry, I don't know if I'm sounding that. I think a lot of what Scotland's already doing is going towards helping the independent film industry. I mean, Scotland doesn't really have much of its own independent film industry right now, but there's a fantastic amount of stuff coming out. And obviously we've got things like the Fpartsshortfilmfestival as well. And we've got HB, we've got West Lothian, we've got Glasgow Short. Like it's all going well, but I think there needs to be more of a focus on distribution and exhibition in particular as well, particularly with regards to genre films. I think Scotland's always had a very, very good history with drama, quite dark drama, but now we're getting a really nice variety coming out. People are going into universities wanting to make something different. We've obviously seen a lot of American short films as well, which are so diverse and so high in production value, August being a really good example of it. And I think people are just taking that in stride. So I think the more people can do to showcase stuff, obviously the monetary thing helps as well, FP giving a cash prize, and I've seen a few others like it since. So we can really just get some economy circulating, and that's the major thing. So we can encourage people, particularly investors, Film Hub Scotland, Enterprise Scotland, just say that, hey, there is some money to be made here. And, there are bums on seats going to watch these things, watch genre films. So let's have a bit of money in this. Let's circulate it, because, London's doing the same, which is great. And of course, across the pond as well, there's a thriving independent film industry. So let's get on board.
Mm-hmm. How did you go about actually capturing the authenticity? I can't get my words out now. Authenticity of the time period.
So that was kind of in our advantage. The reason we decided to set our film in Jacobites in Scotland was because the Clanranald Trust, Combat International, who are the fighters you all saw on the screen, they were all from the Outlander production. And we have at the fort, we have our own costume studio, our own practical effects studio, 16,000 pieces of costume from everything from Braveheart, Ninth Legion, through to Outlander. And we thought, yeah, we'll work on that. So a few costumers came in, again, no budget, £0, and just went to town on it, just making as many redcoats as they could. And of course, we had the wonderful Derek Shipway as well, who had his own brown besses, his own guns, and his own black powder, and he brought that all the way from Cornwall. Again, just to support a Scottish production, because he's been working on Outlander for like a decade now. So we very much played to our strengths, played with what was already there. And of course, Charlie Allen, the guy who runs the Clanranald Trust, has the fort as well, which was recently used in Outlander as Fort Ticonderoga. So we just redressed that, and everyone, all the volunteers, blacksmiths, tradespeople, carpenters, they all worked together to create the stalls, to create the decorations, to create all the crockery and the pots and everything that you saw on screen.
Well, once again, as we were saying, it's what you know. Yes, it's set in a different time period, but you all know it and you've all got what you're trying to make. So yeah, that's great. Abbie,
Hello.
as a young Scottish filmmaker, how do you feel about the current opportunities that we've also got in Scotland? So not necessarily the funding, but what we've got more is opportunities to make things.
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question. I think there's lots of great opportunities. I think for me, the thing that I'm working towards is a lot of these opportunities, they're asking for a really high quality piece of work to then get you into these opportunities. So like the new NFTS programs running up here, all that sort of stuff, that is like the next stage in my education or next stage in my development. They're asking for really high quality pieces of work as submission pieces, and they're asking for experience. And so I feel like I'm in the point now where this film hasn't quite done that for me. And so I'm working independently to make another film to prove myself, to then be able to access those opportunities. That's where I'm at personally. It's not the same for everyone. I think there is lots. And I know especially people who are coming out of uni with me, like my cohort or the years around me, if they're like got craft skills that they're doing, so they're doing like camera stuff or production stuff or whatever, they can get into crews and get into industry, like, not, I wouldn't say easily, they're very talented, but there is lots of opportunities for them. I think the path to figuring out a career as a creative is slightly different. But yeah, I think there is stuff there. It's just getting people to see that you deserve the chance is the bit that takes a lot of work.
It's like trying to find where that line is.
Yeah.
Worthy, not necessarily worthy, but proving yourself.
Yeah, I think it's the thing I find hard is like when you submit an application, it's 5 pages. You've never met me. And it's like, how do I look, I'm great, promise. Like, I don't know, it's really hard to to like make the jump. But I think there's plenty. It's just a tricky task to get chosen to be one of the people who can access them.
Everyone wants to make a film, but there's hundreds of ways to make it, especially different in every country. But also your film tackles a lot with a sensitive topic that definitely has two different sides to it. What made, similar to what I said to Benjamin as well, what made you decide to make a story about these older characters as well?
So my film's about a caring relationship between a husband and a wife who've been together for a long time, and they're in their 60s, 70s. And my granny cares for my granddad. He's got dementia diagnosis when he was in his early 50s. And they're now in their 70s. So I've just seen how that relationship has changed over time. And also as I've gotten older, I've understood the sacrifice that is made by people who choose to stand by people even though it sucks for them. And I think there's something really heroic and wonderful in that. But also I just think like, I mean, I have no evidence to support this, and maybe I'm just a bad person, I don't know. But if I was my granny, I'm sure I would sit on the sofa sometimes and think, oh, I wish I was married to someone else right now. Because you still need stuff for yourself. You still need someone to care for you. You still want to you know, have a relationship that serves you. And I just can't imagine how hard it is to be in a relationship where you're always serving someone else and don't get anything back. And so when I made this film, I didn't want, when I first wrote the first draft, there wasn't any of this kind of bad or controversial side of her in the script. And when I wrote this second version, my lecturers at uni said that she was an unsympathetic character and people wouldn't want to watch it. And I just think that people aren't always sympathetic. People struggle and it's hard. And I think we needed to see that it's so hard that you can't be perfect all the time, you know? And I also just think in my family in general, there's a lot of people who love very sacrificially and who give up so much of themselves for the people that they choose to love. And I just wanted to pay homage to that and be like, that sucks sometimes. And it's okay to be selfish and to want other things.
Yep.
Is it right to do them? Probably not. But is it normal to think them? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think just to add like a kind of comment to that, I watched In the Interest of Others like last night, and I think regardless of the, you know, kind of mental health side of it as well, like I feel like no one wants to be a burden on their significant other. So it's really contradictory what your tutor said about your character being non-sympathetic, because even though I'm, you know, none of us are in those character shoes right now, and others are at that stage of our lives, but I still found it hugely sympathetic. It definitely struck a chord within me. So that you've really hit the nail on the head.
I think what also as well was interesting is not just thinking about the caring, but also the person who's being cared for. And they know the burden that they are. They know what they're doing to the person that they've loved. They know what they're taking away from that person. And yet they can't do anything about it. And that's also horrible and hard. I don't know. I was just thinking about big, sad things, I guess, when I made it. But yeah,
Expressing the art.
I just think it was so important to tell that story from a way that didn't glorify these carers, because that life sucks.
Well, as we were also saying in the first half, you want to make anything that can just, you watch it and you can take something from it. Like that, no matter what, even your lectures, they've taken something from it, even by saying, we don't like that. But they've obviously taken a lot from that by saying we don't like that is going to give them a lasting impression, and they'll still think of it for years to come.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want you to like her. I just wanted you to understand her, you know?
exactly, which is, you get the message across, which is perfect.
Good
That's
stuff.
So yeah, I'll open up one to the rest of everyone. What is something that's been unexpected about during the process of actually making your projects? And is it a good thing, bad thing?
Wants to start? I think I'd say from a technical point of view, Jacobites was the first time I was dealing with such a massive amount of people. I had my first AD and that was it. So we didn't have any kind of crowd control. Everyone had to control themselves, which they did just. And I think as a result, the way that I directed had to completely change, and I had to just completely ditch my shot list and leave it completely up to the director of photography, bless his soul. And he's still with us, just. So I had to use everything on floor plans. So I had to actually think about the shapes that people were making in a scene rather than what we would be doing on a shot-by-shot basis. And from those movements and from those crowd movements, try and pick out the details of what was actually important to the story. And then kind of go up to Luca, our aforementioned DOP, and just be like, I need that detail. And he'd be like, right, okay, Christ, right. And you go and set that up and get that detail. And we had one weekend to get all of the major story in. So I think that for me was something unexpected.
And on the day you were there, I think Blackpool was probably, because you forget that Blackpool is a very busy place, especially in second week in August. So there was a certain shots we had in the 2-shot where you do the tap dance. There was like people, you know, in sort of those scooters stopping mid-shot, like waving, like he was. So, bless his heart, my producer was, and you know, he's looking at me, and I'm sort of keeping it together, you know, like a duck, calm underneath. And what he did, the guy, he came back around, and I'm thinking, there's 10 pages of script, and we've got one day to do it. I'm like, it's like midday. I'm like, we've got like 4 or 5 shots, and in my head, and my DP, very cool. I mean, he's not here today. He's with us though. It's a hobby. But he did survive. But he said something to me really interesting. He said, "You're the only one with a diagnosis, but you're the coolest person on this side, the most sane person." It was like chaos. I'm literally going in my head, there's money involved here. I don't know what's the ways. Or I could be working in Sainsbury's. Right, everything's okay then. Not saying Sainsbury's isn't good, by the way, but I'm saying we could be doing something else, guys. So he was like, it's all cool. But apart from that, I don't think I enjoyed myself as much. And as soon as that first slate came in on day one, I just turned up. It was a job, it was work, and I did it. And it was because I think we underestimate what it takes to make a film. You do have to turn up because it's work. You know, it's fantastic to say all these, you know, the way film is and the way they describe it, it's all glamorous and stuff. No, it isn't. It's really not. And it never will be either. You know, you can have a Manhattan apartment, $40 million, you make a film, whatever. The process is still the same. I would still turn up and have the same attitude I would if I was doing a Marvel film or whatever, because that's how I'm going to work. You know, that's how I'm going to communicate with people. Still panic and stuff and still be scared because you're supposed to be. It's big. This is massive. And we care. You know, so, but yeah. Blackpool and the old man in the walker and the things. And also the people who've like started to kind of gather as well. You know, you get that menacing sort of, what are you doing? It's like, oh God.
Making an arcade, right?
Yeah, the arcade thing. Yeah. Making a film? We are. I'm an artist. Yeah. So it's like, and then they sort of lose interest, then they sort of walk off that they can't be mischievous or get involved or spoil it in any way. So it was, but Blackpool was tricky. It was tricky, yeah. I think I was a bit naive going in actually thinking, oh, it'd be great.
It's a known place, just do it.
Just do it, yeah, fine, it's fine. Because actually, when I got there, so many people, I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is actual living and breathing place. This is not inanimate. People are here to like enjoy their holiday. They don't care about you and your film, you idiot.
It's real.
For me, the way RCS works is you get given your time to shoot, kind of early October for us. And I had a really busy summer. I was doing an internship, working a job, and I directed a show. And so I said to them, I was like, please don't put me first. Please. I need a break, please. And 7th of October, I got an email saying your shoot date's the 14th of November. Go. And I was like, right, okay, perfect. Fabulous. So that was done in 5 weeks. And I produced it as well. And it actually came together quite easily. I was very lucky. Everyone was quite easygoing about putting it all together. I knew all the right people. But yeah, that was not a fun Tuesday that I got that email. I was like, oh my God. And then after that, it was fine. But it was just a rush. And also we shoot, I was DOPing the week before and then first ADing the week after in different film and you're traveling around Scotland everywhere. So I think it was just a bit mad, to be honest, the fact that we were doing all that in such a short notice. But apart from that, my film was fun. It was fab. Yeah.
Probably we did enjoy it, by the way. It wasn't like our fault. We didn't know it was. It was a great experience.
I every week.
Yeah, I'm not. This is very silly, guys. Thanks.
For me, the thing I love the most is like the whole crew, because we had no money. It was £500 we made that on. So we had no money. So it was just like, everyone's staying at my parents' house for the week. You don't have a choice. Sorry. And we all just had like sleepovers every night and watched movies and ate ice cream. It was fun. It's great.
Brilliant. Because that's exactly what this industry is like, a great community working together. Yeah. Love that. Another one for everyone with linking slightly to that, but was there any moments in the project where it actually clicked then? This is why I'm doing this. This is why, like, you get that adrenaline of, yeah, this is meant to be. Because sometimes I've even when I've made films in the past, you're like, yeah, that's the moment that's just, it's touched my heart. This is definitely the best reason to make this.
I think when I was at film school, there was a director I had as a mentor called Richard Knetkowski, and he directed a film with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And he said, I remember sitting at the camera and I saw the character. And he went, and that's when I knew. I was like, this is the film I want to make. This is why I'm here. And he said, I just saw it. We'd been shooting for about 2 weeks when I saw that particular moment. And I think it was the 2 shot on the beach with the 2 of them when they first meet. I sort of stopped. What I wanted to do was enjoy the moment of it, like, because I'm not going to be here again in this moment. I stepped back and went, this is why I wanted to do it. And even my DP afterwards, because it was a static shot, he stepped back and went, yeah, this is why we're doing it. This is why we're here, this is why everyone around you is, putting the effort in and doing this. So that was a very special moment for me, I think. This is why I want to do this.
As
The word sacrifice is big in this industry. I was like, yeah, this, definitely.
And see when you see those moments and recognize them as well, it's a beautiful moment, and you're like, the passion, you can almost see it rather than just feel
It
it.
was funny. It was actually my mum said it. She went, you did that. And I went, yeah, do you know what? I did. Well, we did. But yes, you're right, I did. I was like, I didn't think of it like that, because there's so many moments that were actually passing me by. Actually, I wasn't acknowledging was happening. And other people going, oh, it's great, you're great. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it's like that kind of self-deprecation. I don't know if it's being Irish or what, but I have that. And I'm like, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, that was a special moment. Beautiful moment. I was, very proud of it.
I think for me, it's the people aspect and just kind of getting everyone enthusiastic. So we were in the first night of shooting, and it had already been like about 8 hours in what turned out to be like a 14, 15 hour day. And we were inside this, it was in the tavern scene as well. There was an ungodly number of people, because an ungodly number had shown up. I think it was like 40 something people in the tavern, which was designed to hold 20. So about double the number of folks. And I think people were getting a bit tired. The day had been going on for a bit long. We'd been shooting lots of detailed shots. And when you've got loads of people waiting for you, it can be difficult, and there's a lot of pressure. And it was the scene where the fight just started. So you've got the main character, the old Jacobite, played by John, who's one of the old guard from Clan Ranald. He's been in Braveheart and everything. Is like, he's very solid, very professional. And I think it was really simple. And I said, guys, we need to get this done in one take. And I need everyone to be really into it. So whoever gives me the best war face is going to get double catering. Going to get extra food. We're going to make sure of it. We're going to give you crisps, going to give you chocolate. And my goodness. And that was when John got up and threw the table over at the beginning as well. That was unprompted as well. It was just like all the tables, they're all really solid. They're designed for stunts and stuff like that. So he literally just got up and he just threw it. And fortunately, Luca, our DOP, managed to capture it, and he just screamed and everyone just started running across the tavern. And that was a beautiful moment. And I was just like, hell yeah, that was really nice to make it fun, to make people laugh, to get people energized. And I think one of my favorite things about directing is getting people angry, is getting people psyched out for those moments which really matter, so they can give a really good performance. And I think when everyone gave that performance right at the same time, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, I have 2, one that's lovely and one that's slightly petty. But I had this rehearsal. I was like 21 when I did the rehearsals for this, and all the actors are much older than me. I was kind of breaking it a little bit. I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about death or talking about illness. What do I know? And I didn't really know much about the background of my actors. I just sat around a table. We started talking about how the character in the film had a stroke, and talking about the kind of handsome stranger character. He'd lost his wife. And we started talking, and these amazing actors started opening up about their own lives. Maria was a nurse in a stroke ward for like 20 years. I didn't know that when I cast her. And Jed, he lost his wife to cancer, and Ian had his own story to tell as well. And we were just sitting around this table, and I was just like, I felt very honored as somebody so young to sit there and to be able to have those discussions with them, and to be able to hear their stories and for them to share that all. And I think when I got the cast together and we started seeing how much of their own lives also mirrored the characters, that was just really special. And it felt really like, oh, this is right. But also as well, a moment where I felt like I'm doing this because this is really what I want. I got some really poor feedback on the script, saying it had no potential. And that, good luck making it. That was my feedback I got
Wow.
on my script. And when I read that, I was like, screw you. I will be making this draft and this draft only. And then, thank you. It gets better though. It gets better. Because I then went on to win an RTS award for best writing. And then my lecturer was there. And he was like, you're such a good writing lecturer. And I was like, oh, you... So then that plaque is dedicated to him.
And now it's on YouTube, this video. Here.
Oh, great. Well, there you are. Hello. So yeah, that was a moment where I was like, I'm going to do this way, the way I want to do it.
Good on you. You got to follow your gut when you know this is the right thing, the right draft. Because you could be sitting there for weeks upon weeks or months going, this is my 33rd draft. And you're like, sometimes you need to just put a pin in it and go, I need to make this now. Stop delaying things, because you can always delay projects going, okay, we'll do it next year. But if you just get people together, like you'll probably notice with your film, loads of people want to get films made, and they will do a lot to help other people if you have something that's so passionate right from your heart. So yeah, sometimes you just need to push it.
Yeah, that's when I knew it was the right draft. I got that email. I was like, that's the one. It's the one I'm making.
And I want to ask another question, but I have no more. And does anyone else have any in the audience first? Okay. Shall we jump with one from Vivian right in the middle first?
Abbie, I'm so intrigued. What grade did you actually get at the end up for your film?
Well, the course is pass-fail, but they have an award for filmmaking, excellence in filmmaking or something at the RCS, so I shouldn't get a year. And I got that one. So I'm saying it's an A.
A plus, more like.
Going.
Shall we pass back to Mary just at the back? Just behind Vivian?
Mine is more of a comment than a question for Benjamin. I just wanted to say, I appreciate your film so much. As the mother of a son who is autistic, I also have a son-in-law who is late diagnosed, who is also a filmmaker.
Wow. Amazing.
So we have a lot of autism within my family, and I think it's cool anytime that you can present something that will cause people to see the world through the eyes of autism, because it's a different way the brain works.
Sure.
And I just think that's very cool, and I appreciate that. I also appreciated your comments on that what we do is actual work.
Yeah.
Especially from the outside world. We all know it's work, but I think a lot of people envision this is so cool, this is so fun, you get to do this. And they don't realize the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and the gut-wrenching just pushing through sometimes to get things to happen. And I just appreciated those comments, and I appreciated what you've done. It was a beautiful film.
Thank you.
Just beautifully done in every aspect.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Can I comment on? Yeah, okay. No, I'm great. And just leave it. No. When I wrote the first draft of it, there was a few people, I won't mention names, that read it and were saying, I know what they were saying. What they were saying was, why is he not a victim? And I said, because and I know you're probably going to ask this at the end, I'll answer it now if you don't mind. My film, what I want people to take from it is hope. It's a hopeful film. And if nothing else, that's it. You like it, you say, no, it could have been this, it could have been that. Sure. But I wanted it to be hopeful. We're not victims. And you can also identify with him. Because I had people come up to me say, there was a couple in Sheffield, actually. And this girl was sort of hovering around and she wanted to speak, so I sort of helped her out and said, oh, yeah, do you want to speak? And she went, yeah, that's how I met my boyfriend. I said, the first date or the second one? She went, the first nightmare one. I said, yeah, but you're together. So that's great, and she went, that's how we met. And I said, you took something from it? She went, massively. And she said, I want to make films. I said, make them then. If you can, please do it. Because believe me, doing this was more than making a film. It was like a liberation of something. And when my mum said, oh, you did that, you can do it, I was like, I never believed that. I went to one of the best film schools in the world. I still didn't believe it. It was like, I can't do this. There's no way. This is a dream. It was crazy. But I did. And we did. And you did. So, that's amazing. So thank you.
How to follow that? But yeah, just like your films, you have performances that need to be you deal with these difficult characters that you want to really portray the most authentic way as possible, and the amount of subtleties you have in IceCreamHeadache, and Anna, you play it phenomenally with the subtle sort of gestures that you have that distinctively show through autism. How did you give direction towards that, just to give it subtle? If that made sense, that
Well,
question.
no, it makes sense. When we did the read-throughs, I already could see it. But bear in mind, I'd already made it in my head, not technically, because I'm not really a technical director. I'm more of an acting. So when we communicated the nuances of looking, and because I have to give hints, we don't know she is, but I've got a hint. But I have to say this, I'm going to embarrass you, but she never missed a beat. Both of them. There was no retakes. There was no second take. They were just never missed a line. And I was sort of shocked, thinking, I thought actors were difficult. I was waiting for the Marlon Brando scene, but it never turned up. I was like, this is incredible. And you were really, no, you really were. You really were phenomenal. Together, you were just, it was an easy scene to work with.
I think
You were open.
I think also credit to just the team in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of answering your question before with if there's something that kind of made me think, oh, this is what I want to do. It's kind of like what you said with the people aspect. I think it's just magic. I think so special when you're in a situation, creating something with people who are all eyes on this thing that we're all supporting, and we're all so passionate about it, and everyone works so well together, and it's the environment was just so hopeful,
Yeah,
and exciting, and it's incredible that it was just one day. If it felt like such a whirlwind,
it did. Right. I'm thinking back now. Getting flashbacks.
We have flashbacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, so amazing, and we can all have those moments, but it's also rare. Like I've not really experienced that before, and I think I wouldn't want to. It's what makes this so special. It's why it feels so great, is that it doesn't really come around that often, speaking as an actor. But yeah, I think credit to you and credit to the team, really. Yeah.
Brilliant. Any more questions from the audience? Off to Duncan again.
Thanks. This is for Daniel. When I said earlier, the film August gave me the feeling of doom and foreboding. Your film, You Jacobites by Name, gave me this is going to be wild and lively, which it quite honestly was. Now, when you look at films like Trainspotting, where they had a huge budget for the violence scene in the bar, and then films like Football Factory, which was not really staged to let them get on with it. In light of all the weapons being carried, it looked almost as if your people were really getting on with it. How did you deal with health and safety with regards to that?
Yeah, I just think risk assessment, I've got to be honest with you. When I first...
Sorry, what's a risk assessment? No.
But you don't need them.
What? Nah, it's crazy. No, can't say well, in short, by having very well trained people on set. So, okay, so the filming was carried out by myself and Clanranald, so the Clanranald Trust. a child company that Clan Mammal possesses is called Combat International. Now, if you've seen, okay, I'm assuming you've seen Gladiator. Yeah, and you've seen the opening scene to Gladiator with the big forest battle. Do you remember a gigantic barbarian waving an axe in said forest battle? You're right, that's my boss. That's Charlie Allen. So he has about 30 plus years of combat experience, and everyone there was trained by him and the seniors at Combat International, which is their kind of combat company. So everyone there was sword trained, everyone there was trained with weapons. We had Derek Shipway, who plays the nasty officer, the antagonist. So he is the armorer and military advisor for Outlander. So all the black powder is his, he has the licenses, and the fort itself is actually insured for productions as a location out for hire. So in the way of risk assessment, there really wasn't much we needed to prepare that wasn't already part of the kind of Clan Mammal package and preparation. Having said that, we did improvise with a couple of things. Namely, there was, it's a shame we weren't able to get it in all its glory. There's a shot where one of our stunties, Mick, tackles a guy out the doorway of the tavern. That's actually a good few feet that he drops with that man there. So again, these were guys working towards their stunt licenses, and these are sort of like these tests, they kind of graduate from them and they get certificates at the end. And then we had kind of more inventive stuff. So there's obviously a man who gets his leg snapped from over a bench. That's James. He's not actually combat trained. He didn't actually do any combat, but he is very conveniently missing a leg from a motorcycle accident. So he had a metal peg leg. We were just like, James, what if we took that out and we put some wood in instead? And he was like, hell yeah, brother, let's do it. So we put some wood in it and then stomped away. And I think it was pretty hardcore. It's just like, yeah, just imagine it's like, blinding, like, really, really give it. And he's just like, I don't have to imagine. I lost my leg. It was like, oh yeah. So that's what we did. So I think it was a bit of imagination, or not in James's case. And otherwise it looked chaotic. It was chaotic, but at the same time, it was, I think in total about 40 combat extras who were fully trained, who were qualified, and about 20 to 20 something extras who sort of added to the chaos. So they weren't trained, but again, they knew exactly where to run. We had the places for them to go so they could remain safe, all spots, adding to this sense of chaos. Because I think one of the things we do want to do, and on a more serious note, don't want to take up too much time, but obviously in the recent months, obviously with, was it Rust, the Western film where the DOP was killed as well? Yeah. And of course we had that accident on the railway a good few years ago as well, with people thinking they could do their own stunt. That's not good. And obviously now we're under scrutiny, and Armour is under scrutiny, and kind of rightly so. We do have to ask yourselves these questions, but in their cases, it's due to very irresponsible people on the cases where it did happen. And we do want to make an effort that not only can you be safe, be trained, be sensible with firearms, even in the most chaotic scenes, but we can provide that service in Scotland as well. We've had some producers from various places right now coming forward saying that Scotland doesn't have the facility to prepare to execute scenes like the ones that we've done. And we would like to very professionally and politely give them the middle finger for that. So, but yeah, that's what we did.
Definitely. So, yeah, I think we have time for just one more question if anyone wants to ask it. Oh, we got Mike up at the back. Lauren doing a wee run up.
So knowing from working within the industry sometimes as well, don't want to sit on the floor. So I often find that like the director, DOP, and possibly writer don't always have the same vision, even though it should be trickling down from the writer. Everybody's got their own ideas of either look of the film or where the shot should be going from. Was there any experiences you had where you had differences like that, but actually how, for example, the DOP might have had an idea that you thought became better than the idea you originally had? That's open to anybody.
Yep. Yes.
That's the end.
Yeah. That's what happens. Yeah, high end. I think I remember coming back from lunch, and I think there's the shot where they're sat together from the back. Now, I hadn't necessarily thought about that shot, but as he walked past it, like literally walked past it, he went, "Put the camera here." Have them sit like that. But I think also as well, it's that certain directors would go, "No, I didn't think of that. It's not my idea, so no." But I'm open enough to say, "Show it me. Let's see." You can always remember, you can always get rid of things. So when you write, it's like, "No, I can't have him jump off a building." Yeah, no, I know that, but we can. You can just do it. Let's have a look. So I was open enough to say, "Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea," and it worked. I was like, "Yes, definitely." So, yeah, no, we very rarely didn't. There was a few shots in there actually that I thought, "No, actually, I think these are a better idea." And then he went afterwards. Actually, you were right; they were. Also, there was that on the other hand. So yeah, but we were in sync though. So we didn't have a problem really. Well, just one. It's not that one.
I think it also comes down to like would you agree? It also comes down to how you and the DOP decide to execute stuff together as well, from a technical standpoint. Because in preparation, like, I'd say what you're saying, like directors can get stubborn about what it is that they want to shoot. And I feel like for you Jacobites, I was on the other end of the spectrum where there was so much to focus about in camera. I actually had to pay special attention to make sure my DOP wasn't just floating out in the sea, not knowing what was going on. So what we did was we decided upon the general aesthetic. So saying like, okay, here's the lighting mood, here's the tone we want to convey, and this is how we want to shoot it. Do we want tripod for this bit? Do we want, do we want to follow smoothly? Do we want chaotic? Do we want handheld? And then from that sort of building block of style, tone, mood, feeling, the DOP could then sort of work his magic. And just as you were saying as well, like, they can come out of the woodwork with some awesome stuff which you just don't think of. And I think it's really, what was it? Director of Licorice Pizza, what was his name again? Paul Thomas Anderson, that's it. Should probably remember that name. And filmmakers. Okay. But his DOP was saying that how Paul literally took a kind of creative stake, puts it in the ground, and leads out a rope from it and gives it to each HOD, each head of department, and says, "Here's the idea. What do you think?" And then everyone brings that to the table, and that's how it really becomes a question of process rather than product.
I think that's like the best part is when, especially with production design for me, when you say to your designer, right, these are the people, this is their lives, this is where they live, this is probably what it feels like, or, blah, 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 anything more exact you need, lighting needs, blah, blah. And then you send them away and they come back with the most like epically amazing thing that you're like, you've just taken my idea and made it unbelievably better. And I love that part. And I love going to a DOP and being like, right, I want this, 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 and this. And they're like, cool. And then they go away and they come back with like lighting plans and like things that just elevate it. I think it's great. There was an interview with, his name has gone out of my head. What's the Irish actor who used to play rugby called? What's he called? The guy who was just in the new Gladiator.
Paul Maslen.
Him, yes. He was in the new Gladiator and he said in an interview that Ridley Scott, his theory is whoever has the best idea wins. And I'm of that opinion. I'm like, well, the story is what matters and how the characters feel and how the audience feels watching it. And I don't ever want to sacrifice that. So if your idea is going to make the audience feel something better than my idea is, then we go with your idea.
Brilliant.
I think.
Because I was going to add to that, I like to call myself the suggester instead of the director. Because you have your idea and everyone's got their own jobs, but you're like, oh, I just want to suggest this, but what you want to do, we'll go with that. And then if I think we want to try this, let's try that as well. Because at the end of the day, everyone's got their own job. They all want to add their own creative input. And like we're saying, someone might come up with a brilliant idea. Or I think my last project was a 40-hour. So we were like, let's just have fun with it. It wasn't the DOP that came up with a brilliant shot. It wasn't myself. It was the gaffer. The gaffer just said, why tackle this indoors? Why don't you just do one shot outdoors? You can see them running down the halls and it's just a nice shot from outside with all the mayhem away from all. I think it's the best shot in the whole film. So listen to everyone on set, from the runner to the makeup artists. They get brilliant ideas. We're a team. And I'll leave it with that.